Hello Uganda, it is such an honor to have you watching Shiloh TV and welcome yet to this another edition of Business Daily. Business Daily comes to you every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 a.m. And I am your host, Julius Nsubuga. It is such a wonderful thing to see your business grow and blossom. Many businesses die out after the first generation because their continuity was not planned by the founder. Just take a look around at the businesses perhaps that we admire, that have stood the test of time, some nearing a century or even centuries. These businesses have been built to last. What have these businesses done to last this long? They have built a succession plan that has provided for the continuity of great leadership across the ages. The big question is, how can I build a succession plan for my business and for your business? And with me today is Mr. Mugumya right here at Four Pals Hotel, and this kind of setting has been made possible by Four Pals Hotel Chengera, and bravo to Four Pals Hotel Chengera. Let's welcome Mr. Mugumya to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
It is a pleasure to have me on the Business Daily already.
Yes, as usual, we are very, very glad to have you and share your insights on business right here on Business Daily.
Thank you.
Yes, so we're talking about how to build the succession plan.
Yes.
Not for your family,
yeah,
but for your business.
For the business, exactly.
Yes. So what do you understand by succession plan in business?
Maybe before we even go any further, I think our viewers can agree with me that whenever you kick off with any business idea, one of your best interests and one of the ideas that you have your mind taken is the issue of making sure that the work you start today does not stop and die with you. You used a very interesting word that the guy died with his
business.
And I know that is very common. And you see, it is not a Ugandan problem only. It is largely an African business, although even other countries also suffer it, but Africa suffers it the most. You see, before you even go into the succession and what you can do with the business, looking at the environment we are living into Africa, we need to pay attention today much early, because it is so unfortunate that it is majorly here, whereby every person when they die, their business comes to an end, and someone else comes and either takes over or buys it from them, and be it even a building. Imagine it also they also don't get succeeded over. And you see, it is something we don't have to overlook and take it for granted, because right from our age where we are as youths, that's where the entire problem begins from. Because this problem does not start at the extreme end, it begins from the start of the career, when the business is even being built. I cannot count how many businesses, Mr. Julius, that came to an end simply because the founder also came to an end, and which is not so common with the way some of these European companies have been built. Because when you look at the business you talked about, which are essentially old or more or less, a company that has been around and the grandchildren are working into it, actually most of them, they are not even African enterprises. And one of the things which we have to see is the same thing that I have personally closely observed, that the guys from Europe and America have done it so well. That you find a guy like me, maybe I'm 30, and the business I'm taking over, let's say of making bread, it is because my great grand, maybe 130 years ago, started up a bakery, and they became bakers, and my grandfather also became a baker, and then my father became a baker. Now my dad is retiring and is out of business. Me, the son, I'm taking over the business, and I'm also a baker. Now that is not so common here, and it's so unfortunate that
maybe before we proceed,
yes,
do you think it is only through family that you can build a succession plan for your business?
Not through family, but the community which you are with most is always your family. And if you are talk about let me say people you are going to mentor 24/7, the people whom you have a much advantage over, we'll always be talking about the family itself.
Okay.
And now, this is what is so funny. When we set up a business, we are so built up in a manner that when the business has been started, first of all, even the only person who can run it is only myself. It has no any other system,
Yes,
and I'm the system of the business. So as we talk about succession, we are going to major on two parts.
Okay.
The first part is me, the founder of the business,
The founder.
who I am, and what image do I portray to the people who are seeing me, whom I think they can even take over. Before you even talk about what to do for the other people who may take over the business, the big question that who are you? Are you easy to be taken over from? I mean, the kind of life you built for yourself, is it really a kind of life that if you were my father and you were maybe running, let's say, a dry cleaning business, is your life in line with the character that is easy to take over, really?
Okay. Because
that's where the starting point should be. Because there are many cases whereby people start up businesses and themselves they kick it off on what I should say maybe a wrong foot. You kick off on a foot whereby you have only one big goal, and that is to go and make money for the day. And when your interest is to go and cash in and have money for the day, you are finished in simple terms.
Okay.
Because, you see, you, Julius, you are starting up a business, and you want it to be succeeded one day. You get the idea? But you see, you have problems, personal problems. You have loans to pay, you have school fees to pay, you have rent to pay, you have bills to pay. And you are entirely motivated by one big goal, going up and pick some money and pay and settle the bills. You get the idea? So whatever you are doing, the motivation alone is less of being succeeded and building something that can even be succeeded with stronger structures. No.
Okay.
Your motivation is much about how do I go back home with it. In Kampala, there's a saying that onyukana maker. You know that saying that onyukana sente maker, onyukana maker. No, with the mindset of onyukana maker.
With how much
are you going back home with when the day has ended? Already you've started off on a wrong foot and wrong note.
So does it mean that perhaps it all starts with me and my reason as to why I'm doing business?
Now, you are very right. Now, if you've really been for those of you who have been following the business we've done previously before, we've talked about starting up a business by solving a problem you see in the community. Now, one of the businesses have to be started for a reason, and although a business entrepreneur start up a business with one goal, which is to make a profit, which is a very good idea. You want to make a profit. You are not in charity. You want to make a profit. Okay? Now, with the goal of making a profit, there is also another goal behind not just making a profit. That as you are making a profit, after you've made some money and now you make some profit, you can now live comfortably. What next? Okay. Because
maybe before we proceed, why would someone build a succession plan anyway?
Okay, now that's the big point which you want to drive at to. Okay. That from day one, when your dream is not just about cashing in and go back with some money in your pocket, you need to think about building a succession plan because of a variety of reasons. Now, the first reason, which I think and is the major important reason, you may not even have to talk about the second reason, is the issue of building a foundation for generations. You see, the Bible says somewhere that a wise man leaves an inheritance
for his children.
Not his children.
For his
great-grandchildren.
Yes.
Yes. Now, meaning that if you only leave your children, that is not enough. Okay. You better do something more than just an inheritance for your children.
Okay.
Now, you being personally, let me give you my personal interest. When I started up the business, when I started up my first business,
okay,
I remember it was selling shoes. And all I wanted was to earn.
Hawking shoes?
Of course, we would hawk shoes, take this market, take this buyers, find buyers, all that.
Okay.
And in that process, I was motivated by one thing, going back with money home. That was the big deal. Now, as time changed on and prospered, I learned something different. That you see, you can work hard and even make some good money, and even build a very good house, even drive a very good car. The day I die, my children, just my children, not even my very children, if I died when they are young, they may even struggle for school fees, that they may have to be brought to Uncle Julius to see if we can provide the school fees. You've seen that one happen.
Yes.
And that's why people grow up and people tell you as already, that you see, my dad died, that's why I'm suffering. You know, he had the hotel, he had the cars, he had the trains, you know, all traders, and now there's nothing to show.
Okay.
Now, simply because that dad, when he was starting up a business, his intention did not move to also seeing at the systems he was building behind, that when he is gone, his children and great-grandchildren could take over something. So this is what I want to say.
I think it also goes back to focusing your mind on building a business and developing a long-range vision for it. And I think that's one of the avenues through which one can really build a business.
Now, I just want to use a very good example of a building that's going to last long. Now, when you look at this building of Four Powers Hotel, it is a storied building where we are. Now, the foundation of this building, the slab which was used to construct this building, is not similar to the slab which someone uses when he's going to construct his toilet at home, which is not even he has a small toilet to construct. He just makes a 5 or 6 inch slab and puts on the building. But you can't construct such a building which is storied, right, with a slab of a toilet which is 6 inches only. Now,
and that means you cannot actually, give over a business to the next generation. When it's say, let me use the word peanuts, because at the end of the day, you want to leave something significant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, let me talk something small about now you, who is building the foundation.
Okay.
Now, I'm the person, Mugumia Paul. You are Julius.
Yes.
I have started up a business, which is, let me say, a trade empire. When I die, it has to be taken over. There are some things which I have to do from day one, which is the foundation. For example, the first question. When you are at home as a father, as a mother, as the owner of the business, what do you talk to your children about the business you do? Do you know that most parents, when they get back home, they just complain about what the business is stealing from them?
Okay.
When they go back home, instead of talking good about the business, all right, you know what they are doing? They are crying of how they made losses. You can't sit on the table with children to have a supper. And the kind of conversation for you are talking about is how you made the losses, how customers stolen your money, how business is not good, and how everything is a struggle. And again, you expect that after you've talked to your children like that, they will even have a keen interest of listening to what daddy has to say, of even take interest. Sometimes we talk about passion. Passion dies from day one. When I see my dad complain that the reason why he is suffering and he cannot pay my school fees on time and buy us good food and clothes
is because of his struggling business.
Is because of his struggling business, and he's mentioning how he delivered the clothes and he wasn't paid back. Okay. Now, that is one of the things to measure. Okay. What do you talk about?
Do you think it is good to really bring in your children and incorporate them in the business? From day one?
Actually,
or at what age do you think it is important to incorporate the children?
That's a powerful question.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Subuga, when you look at the issue of age, of how when you bring in your family, actually, it is. I would call it a culture. It's a culture whereby when you have children right from day one, when you have them as babies, it grows with them from day one as a beginning, before they even get to understand everything much, by adopting the type of personality and thinking you have.
And
even regarding money and business in general.
Okay.
You see, most of us personally come from a background whereby we never used to talk about money on the dinner table.
Okay.
There is no way you could discuss how to make money with your parents. I don't remember having any discussion when I was either 5 or 10 or 15 about with daddy how to make money, how to get rich, how to build business, how to get customers. And you see, when it comes to people who really end up building businesses that they pass on their generations, it is what we call a family culture. From day one, it is why a rich man's son, it will be very easy for them to also become rich. Not because daddy has money.
Is it a guarantee? Is it a guarantee?
Not a guarantee.
Here in Africa.
It's not a guarantee. I say it.
Okay.
The chances of that person even to become rich are more than a person who doesn't. Why? That right from day one, when they were growing up, the principles of living like an entrepreneur.
Lifestyle of an entrepreneur.
Yes, they were copying it directly and seeing it from daddy. Now here we are, from day one. Instead of listening to our mother, our dad, or our granny speaking about his success and how he's making things happen and making us to fall in love with the profession, here is that the number one reason. Do you know that most children never do the jobs of their parents? Do you know that when your dad is a banker, most people whereby if your dad is a banker, children can prefer to at least become doctors. For me, I have realized it. It is very few families whereby dad is a doctor and the children are also doctors. Because even be it just your profession, to say to your children to know that it has value, there are things you have to do, and one of them is to speak well of your profession and how it is good and looking at it as something of value. But the attitude which we are carrying today cannot take us very far. Whereby you are running a business, you are calling it a business, my business is not growing, things are not moving, we are struggling. When you go back home, you talk about you talk about taxes. You see, be it taxes. Do you know, if you are planning about becoming successful in business, you have to fall in love with paying the taxes with a smile. And when it comes to paying bills,
you see, Mr. Mugumya.
Yes.
Uganda today. In the business environment, yes, taxes are not really so much favorable for the business community.
The truth is this. Even the days before Jesus, people were paying taxes. It doesn't matter. And there are so many governments and countries in our own continent and even all over where it is even more unfavorable than even it is here. You know, now it comes back to us.
You see, Mr. Mugumya, we have had a couple of arguments
yes.
on the economic environment.
Yes.
And you see, I'm a person who wants to be very, very objective.
Yes.
And also very explicit in the way as we are discussing.
Yes.
Yes. So, I want us to be technical.
Yeah.
And bring out all those challenges.
Now, the question is here.
Because running away from the challenges,
now, the question is
solve
here.
The problem.
The challenge is available.
Okay.
The big question is, of all the good things and the bad things you think happen in your business, how comes whenever with your children, you are complaining about the challenges only? Before you talk about the many challenges, there are very many good things you could spend time to talk about, which would even, and when you're talking about even the problems, you would even be talking about them in terms of a solution. Okay. And your children from age 10, I have been fortunate enough to make friends who are actually wealthy. Okay. And their children are also becoming now wealthy. You know what is interesting? You meet a girl of 12 years old.
Okay.
And a girl of 12, she's telling you how she's planning to make a profit, how she thinks selling is good, knocking on doors. But here we are, everything you are just complaining about it, it is a challenge and is a trouble. Now, there is no way your children are going to, first of all, the way you are wired, you wired yourself from day one. Things about your attitude towards business, whenever with your family. That one is a big matter. No. Secondly, when you are with your children in what you call a parental talk, how comes how comes you don't ask them questions regarding how even they see the economy? You see, children of people who are successful and they really wise enough, I always be with them. They will ask you questions. Now I see you sell. Now we are beginning. We are manufacturing juice. Who surprised you with the raw materials? Now that is a 7-year-old kid, okay. And it's like I also have some. Can I say, you realize that the environment they have built for their children right from day one, okay, makes all the difference.
Yes. Now, yes.
Yeah.
Supposing you are clocking 60 years, you have built this business.
Yes.
And perhaps you want to maybe take a leave off and go to your country home and leave the business perhaps to another person. Or, God forbid, you die by age 60. Or you're about to die. And you see your business is going down the drain. So basically, what would you do if you didn't have a person to succeed, more so from family?
Now, there's something which I want to actually even put very clear. You see, the topic of succession is very interesting because of one reason. If you never built the foundation, I use an example of such a very good story building we have here at 4 Powers Hotel. Okay. The slab on which the building sits alone is really big, right? Now, if you never built the slab and now the building is tall and you want to make the slab strong, you have to agree that you will do the work afresh, right?
Welcome back from the short commercial break, and you are watching Business Daily right here on Shiloh TV. Business Daily comes to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. And I'm your host, Julius Nsubuga. And this kind of setting has been made possible by 4 Powers Hotel Chengera, and we are very glad to be here. We are actually with Mr. Mugumiapo, a business writer and also a personal development coach, and we are elucidating more on the subject of how to build a succession plan for your business.
Exactly.
It's been very, very interesting
we have been talking about somebody I know. Okay. He had a very profitable, flourishing business, and the children were not just interested to take over. And all they wanted is they could get the money, buy nice cars, drive around, do everything. And you see, Daddy had to actually pass over this business into the hands of a management committee. That his children would only take income, like salaries and payments as dividends.
I'm seeing that
yes,
building up someone to succeed your business, say your son or your daughter, it is now building them based on leadership principles rather than perhaps say and inculcating those principles in tough ways into them right from day one.
Yes.
So do you think it is so?
There is in Kampala there is a saying that I think it's Vaganda who have a saying that akacha mamamera. When something got spoiled from the roots, from the beginning, you may never have a chance to turn it around. Now, here there's a scenario you pointed at. Someone is 60, is or more. His children are above teenagers and above, and he no longer has that opportunity. Like that gentleman did, he had to get the business, put it in the management committee, and his children take salaries instead. Because if he made the mistake of passing it over that way, the children were going to just sell it off or even put it off the course.
Is it in the African culture really to leave business for the next generation and then?
Like we said initially, in Africa, of course, are still struggling with the idea that everybody comes their own idea. When I have children, like for us, the best example I can give is us at home. Okay. We are 10 of us at home, and none of us is doing something similar. Okay. And we are going to realize that 10 of us, what I'm doing is different. Another one is doing this. The other one is a teacher. The other one is in media. The other one is in farming. And now it all comes back to the roots. Okay. Now, when you look at coming back to this foundation which was built, here you are. You are now you now have children who are young, right? And you also have a business you operate. and you have a dream of passing out into your business to your children, it goes back to the first basic of how you are going to first of all developing interest. How are you going to make your children,
develop the interest,
the people around you, interested? Now, and it's going to come back by them picking your personal attitude towards it. And you know, to be very clear on this is what I would advise maybe all parents out there. That if you really have children and you really love them and you believe what you are doing is a good profession they would have to take over, one of the things you have to keep in mind is that every minute you spend with your children, you are talking good and life to them. You see, Mr. Julius, like I'm sorry I have to say more about the issue of what you say and how you behave, and even your attitude on the face, in front of the people whom you are saying they are going to take over what you are doing.
Okay.
You see, your children want fun. They don't want stress. They want fun. They are here to enjoy life, not to have stress. And here you are. For them, that's why a child would rather prefer sitting on the beach and have fun. That's what they call fun. Because they think work is hell. Work is fire. And why? And the reason they think work is fire is because the attitude they read, especially from you, their superstar currently. Their superstar is you, the dad and the mom, who are maybe running a business of any sort. You are already showing that where you spend time is fire. And when you bring the money and they can use your money to enjoy something, they rather keep enjoying your money, but not make a vow of never doing what you do.
Okay.
And that's the number one reason as to why your own children. If on your job, whenever you go back home, you talk about only the struggling and everything, they will perhaps begin to imagine that there is something else they will do, which is different from what you are doing, so that for them they can have fun at work, which is not true.
Okay.
So the first thing which you have to mind about is me, who runs the business. How do I take myself in front of the people whom I think they are the ones that will even develop interest into what I'm doing?
Okay.
So the first person to consider is
myself.
Yes. The way I carry myself around, the words I speak, the attitude I wear, and everything regarding the business. Then there's a second aspect of the people you are passing on to. Now, another process is the mentorship process from day one. You see, this one is what I would advise, and I have seen it work out. I will just tell it to others. Let me tell it to you, and then I tell you a story.
Okay.
If you realize that if you think you've trained your children or anyone to take over your business, give them the opportunity to take over when you are around. And if they are to mess up the business, let them mess it up when you are seeing.
Around.
It is better for your daughter to mess up your business when you are seeing her messing up than waiting when you are dead and not there and they mess up. You see, whether they mess it up when you are around or not, they will still mess it up. If you die today and they take over, they will still mess it up. We better need to. We have to come to a point and agree that. Let me give you a very interesting, simple story. It is a true story.
Okay.
There is a guy. There is a gentleman. He built one of the best good hotels in Entebbe. I will not mention it. And then later on, he passed on. When he passed on, his children were only seeing man at home and they had no clue. Let me tell you, to cut the story short, in a period of only about 1 year, Mom had even to sell the house they were sleeping in to facilitate their survival. There's another scenario also. It is a good company here, it is just here in Kampala. I wish I cannot mention it because I don't have the authority to. The owner has a son. He pays school fees for his son to go and study business management and all those business courses in the university. He even goes in India for a master's degree in business. Now the son comes back, he's 24 years old. And now they have this, at one point it was one of Uganda's number 1 or number 2 company in manufacturing. Now the son comes back and daddy says, you are going to take over. You are going to take over the business. And now, daddy wanted to see the son practice whatever he has been learning because the son says he's competent. Now, daddy sits back. Now, I witnessed this guy. The kid began to mess up with the company daddy built from scratch. I remember one of the things I saw myself. This son could go and talk to the management.
So was it dad around by the time?
He was very around and seeing, and he was only an advisor. He could advise, but he even refused to interfere because they wanted the son to learn the lesson is the hard way. The son went one time and and requested for about 70 million Uganda shillings to go and do promotion for the company. When he got the 70 million, he bought a brand new car and he went for a holiday in South Africa for 2 weeks. He never did the company promotion.
Which is not bad. To go
money for advertising and promoting. Now remember, now the company is under the son. Now the son is using the money he got the money that it is meant for advertising and never did advertising. Okay. Now the company began suffering a nosedive. Today, about a few years ago, about 4 years ago, it was almost not heard of anywhere. Yeah? Not even a single billboard was talking about it, which was around the country. Now the company went almost close to bankrupt. Now, daddy was still advising and giving professional advice. When the son went through that fire, he came back with now humility. And he learned the principles from the daddy, how to run the business. And you see, this son is now my friend. We are friends today. And he tells me that, Paul, I was very stupid. I wish I knew. But you see, he couldn't. Daddy is the one I give credit.
So could it be that most reason as to why perhaps we may not get the results we want in the process of passing on our businesses to the next generation is because perhaps we don't have we have not inculcated good financial practices and skills in the children.
You see, all the financial skills, children learn them from us. And daddy, now for the sake of that gentleman, daddy did his best. But you see, when you are running things side by your dad, you can think you are good or bad regardless. Not until you are now the driver of the business.
So you think it's okay to make mistakes?
Not just okay. One of the best ways to learn to do something better is by doing it wrong first. Or let me tell you, there is nothing which is as good as making a mistake. Because now the best example I can give is on the same story. Today that company is getting back on foot because the son made all the mistakes he could ever make, and that he had already told him and advised, and he was showing him the way to go. Now when he came back after making all the mistakes, there was no option. The guy now is building, and I can prophesy maybe in the next 5-10 years the company will be 5 times better and bigger than what even that it built, and that is still around. And now that is why I sometimes feel that in fact I feel it always, and I've seen it with people who are serious, that you've got to reach a point. Yes, you love your business. You began it with love and passion, and all the enterprise muscle within you. You don't want to see anything wrong happen to it, and you are the father. You better allow the person you think you are mentoring or you've mentored to be the driver of the thing when you are still around. And if they are to mess up, they mess up when you are seeing. Yes, they mess up in front of your eyes instead of waiting.
Where you just come in to advise.
Exactly.
Whether they listen or not.
At
least they'll learn from the mistakes.
Exactly. When you look at some of the oldest companies, there is a family in South Africa. I think it is called the Rothschilds. They are called the Rothschilds. Okay. Now, that company that family has been in banking for over 300 years now. 300 years, and for them, they know they are bankers. And it is one of the richest families on earth up to date. They have assets in almost every country, from Russia to the US to Europe, Africa, everywhere. And the Rothschilds are very prosperous family. And you see, their business has been taken over to over 10 different generations.
I would love to build a business like that one.
Exactly. And now it comes back from day one when the business is being built, and it goes back to you that when you the mentor is the big deal, Okay. Because the Bible says somewhere that show the child the right path.
And he shall walk in it.
Yes, it will never divert
Yes.
from it in any format.
Sure, yeah.
Now, that's what happened is that you as a parent, from day one, we talked about your personal attitude towards whatever you do. One of the things I decided I will never do, even to my best friends, because I realized that it is an attitude I may carry. I can never stand in front of my best friends whenever we meet, and I'm complaining about what I'm going through. There are some good things I can talk about, and even when I have a challenge, I talk about a challenge to a person who can give me an answer to the challenge I have. And even when I'm talking about the challenge to people, who may not be giving me a solution, I'm talking about it as something good.
Okay.
Not complaining the way Africans always do. I sometimes feel so bad looking at people, be it on phone, be it at home. You visit somewhere and the guy is on fire. He's ranting how things are not moving on. Now, there is no way you are going to build in a culture where someone would even want to come and take over something which is the fire for you. And that is why when you die, people choose to say, man, I'm not entering that tunnel of fire. Okay. Let me go suffer my own way.
Wow.
And that's a very powerful thing to note.
Very wonderful.
So some of the advice I want to also give, which I can also give to us as we associate with other people, is the issue of discussing finances in detail.
Okay.
You know, there is a culture of not talking about money in public. Now, I always hear people, when they are demanding their money to someone, you know what they say? Instead of saying that, give me my money, this is what they say. In Uganda, they say like this. You know, but I have my things. Can you send me my things? A person you cannot even have guts to say, hey, send me my 2 million shillings with pride.
No, but there is saying it. But remember, this is Uganda. What if they rob? What if they plan an attack on you?
Now, there is no robbers, by the way, because nobody is going to rob you simply. No, the entire attitude, by the way, is the big base. Because you're not going to be in a place which is not safe, and again you are doing all that. So talking about succession, because time is out for us, is that as a parent, from day one, it has to be on us to make sure that when we are mentoring our children and people who are around us, first of all, we bear an image which shows that whatever we are doing is taking us somewhere, it is positive and it is good. Not an image of suffering and struggling and losses and living a poor life because of what we are doing. That's the first thing we have to cultivate. Okay. Then, when we have helped our children so well with the process of showing them around, of being there for them, and we know we've wasted enough time to show them that they are doing well, they can do better, and they even say that they can do it. Let's give them an opportunity to take over when we still have the energy. Okay. You see, this is what I think. I personally, and it's my plan. I would rather see my child mess up my empire when I still have the energy to support them and direct them, and even build it afresh if I can when I'm with them, than death robbing me out of them, and you leave something unclear to them and they really do not know where to start from. And that's the mistake we always make. We want to be the alpha and the omega. Let me ask you one final question. Yes, please.
I don't know if I'm being naive, but I want you to tell me, why would you build a succession plan?
Now,
why would you build a succession plan?
Now, it is similar. Why would you live?
In that, when you're gone, the business still exists.
You see, a foundation is hard to build. Okay. Trust me. And if you have mercy for the generation behind you, you don't want them to spend 10 years
So,
building
in
their
other
own
words-
foundation into something else.
in other words, building a succession plan,
Mm.
you are looking at building a legacy.
Exactly.
Even when you are not around.
It is.
Yeah.
So the real reason that I would not, I would do, let me give you a good example, practical on myself. I have spent about 9 years trying businesses, making mistakes and failing here and there. If I was, my dad had begun up his business, right? Of let's say in tailoring, and it's a great profession and
Okay.
good business, and he built me up, and he gave me an opportunity to practice it, and I could see my dreams coming true because of tailoring and all that. Now, the last 9 years, I would have spent them building that one single business with a clear mind, with a clear guidance, in that by today, I would be 100 times far more successful than I could even be maybe in the next 5 years.
Yes.
Because the foundation was built for me.
Okay.
And now me who thinks long term, and you who wants to have a good future for your generation, you realize that a foundation is what you are building. And now your children need to find a well-built foundation.
Yes, Mr. Mugumya, we are running out of time.
Oh, yes.
Yes, but your final remarks to the viewers.
My remark is very simple. This is not easy stuff to do. It is not easy at all. It is hard. And because it is hard, we have to do it because it is right. There is a difference between doing easy things and right things. You see, we are not here on earth to do only
The
easy
easy
things.
things, yeah.
We are here to do right things. If you realize that it is going to cost you emotionally to train yourself, so that you can build a good succession personality. I want to use the word personality. First.
That you can perhaps pass
Yes,
to the
a
next
personality that
generation.
people can even want to buy in children, and then you really become a better individual and a good. You invest in it, because if it is hard and right to do, we've got to do the hard as long as it is right. And for anyone who's going to go very far, and the continent we are going to build of better results,
Yeah.
we have no option
Wow.
apart from to build something that has roots that will live on after we've even left.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a very wonderful show over there. How to build for yourself a succession plan for your business. And I think it is actually one of the principles perhaps that can be passed on to entrepreneurs and business people on the African continent.